And boom, according to that, I am live. Cha-chong. That is my YouTube clapper. I thought I'd use that tonight. How's it going? I'm sunburned, as you can see. It was like practically raining this morning when I went to go and coach rugby, but it got really hot, like 30 something degrees. And yeah, and then I ended up like this. I guess that happens. So yeah, I'm good. How is everybody? The boom, you know what, I just watched it go live and it may have skipped. I think I have to do the boom thing again, so I will do that. Hey boom, welcome to Tokyo Tonight 2. It's good to have you along tonight. Some interesting things happening tonight actually. For one thing, we have the Tokyo election, the election for the Tokyo prefecture, which I think eligible voters, like 10 million eligible voters. It's quite a big deal, and it's a bit of a performance on how the government is going at the moment, and they're getting destroyed by Koike. I'll tell you a little bit about that in a minute, in the background to that. Also, you may have heard about the Shogi wonder kid who broke, 14-year-old kid who broke the record for the highest number of professional Shogi wins in a row. He got up to, the record was 28 wins in a row, and he got 29 pro wins, and was going for number 30 tonight. I think that's the story. I think he's number 30 tonight, but he lost. So the winning streak is over, but still he did pretty awesome. How are you liking the screen? How are you liking the screen resolution, all that? I'm using OBS. It was not quite 16:9 format last week, so I'm hoping it's clearer this week. In fact, I am just checking. It does look pretty clear, doesn't it? If I expand that to full screen, meh, it's better anyway. We've got lots of people in the comments, so let's say hello to everybody. I also got a track I was just working on. I had some comments that they wanted me to do some music at the end of these things again, so I haven't been making much music lately, so actually I quite appreciated the suggestion. I think I will do that. Actually, I don't have a lot of topics, so yes, remember, you can always give me topics there in the comments to talk about, and let's go through and see what's going on in Japan. So first of all, let's see who's here. Top comment, or the comment at the top, everything is better with OBS. That is what I'm using right now, and it does look a lot better, and it's much easier to use. I spent like $400 on the license for Wirecast, which I used for a couple of years. It served me well, but it was always really heavy. I couldn't open Chrome while I was using it. I had to do a lot of, it was kind of a pain. It didn't work perfectly. This works great. It's light. I can use Chrome. It's the video that I get out of it, I think, is clearer, better quality. I'm very happy, and it's free. So yes, I kind of messed that up there, I guess. Boom, streaming at max 480p. Is that right? That can't be right. Let me. Is that so? The Sergeant Bilko says that, you know what, I did change the streaming settings. It should be rescaling at 1900 by 1080. It should be. Oh well, we'll figure this out. We will figure this out. But the resolution is low. It's 480p. Everyone's saying, oh damn it. Wait a minute. I think I can. I don't know if I can play with this when the settings are live, but let me just see if I can do something with the stream options. Advanced settings. Can I increase the advanced settings, basic info? I'm not sure why it's 480p. It should be better than that, but okay, I will. Ingestion settings, here we go. Visit the dashboard options. Oh well, it is what it is. I'll figure that. I'll come back and figure that one out. It was like obviously higher resolution, but not the right format before. Well, it wouldn't be the show if there wasn't a technical drama or two. So anyway, let's go back. It is better with OBS in spite of the fact that it appears to be 480p, which sucks a little bit. And actually, this is frustrating to me, and I really want to try to fix it now, but I guess I can't output. It's got streaming, rate control, CBR, bit rate, use custom buffer size, keyframe, CPU usage, profile. It doesn't give me anything I can work with to increase the resolution in the stream options. Video. I've got the base canvas is 1920 by 1080 and the scaled resolution is 1152 by 648. So that's right, I can't turn off it. I can't change anything right now without stopping the stream. So I guess I'm stuck with this for now. But yeah, I'll probably run some tests later on. So anyway, I'm sorry, I'm not going to get obsessed about the low resolution. It happens. But anyway, let's get back into who is here. We've got Razo Gul. Let the games begin. Yes, indeed. Sunny IL, it's good to have you along, sir. Long time no see, indeed. Been breakdancing away in YouTube land with lots of did you know questions and trivia, which I do quite enjoy. We have, who else? We got Robert Old Dude, cool beans indeed. Justin Connolly, that's right, it is pretty great. And with plugins, apart from the resolution thing, which I guess I'll figure out. But pretty awesome indeed. Davo Hunter, hello from you both indeed. They're in Perth. Good to see you, Davo. The Sergeant Bilko from Sweden, there is the boom indeed. We've got Zep Dov, good to see Zep Dov back. Haven't seen you for a while. Who else we got in there? We got ASDF, Big Goody Mark, 12131. Hey, indeed. That's a good username there. Theodore Sharp, hello, friend, indeed. How's things? Are you coming back to Japan soon? How's things back in the US? We got Kimmy Kim back. Is always good to see you. And Amber, awesome to see you. Back in Melbourne now, if I recall correctly. And oh, I think I jumped ahead too much. Let's go back up. Wow, there's more comments than I was expecting. That's good. Who else we got here? We got hello to all the chatters. Tia, great to see you, Tia. Yeah, actually very good to see you. I've been doing some cool stuff with Rob you may have heard about. Yes, and that'll probably get announced one day soon. Baby steps. I'm a cautious person, but excellent to see you, and I hope that you are well. Haven't seen you for a while actually. Kumamon is an easy plus point, I guess it is. Auntie Liana, good to have you here. Auntie Liana, indeed, happy July. And that's right, to all the American people, happy Treasonous War of Secession Day, about to come up, I guess, day after tomorrow, Tuesday. You know, of course, if you ever want to come back into the British Empire, well, we all got New Zealand actually, like when Britain said you can all leave the British Empire now with the Statute of Westminster in 1925, everyone accepted it except for like, what was it, the Cayman Islands and New Zealand. We didn't want to. The British begged us to accept our being kicked out of home. We were like the parasite singles, like the 40-year-old sons who stayed at home and didn't want to go out and pay rent and live on our own. So that's what New Zealand was until 1947. We refused to accept our independence. We actually fought kind of a war against Britain to remain not independent. So yes, we kind of did the opposite in New Zealand of what America did. And yes, I guess it's too late to go back into being part of Britain, so congratulations on your Independence Day coming up. And yes, indeed, so that's right, happy July indeed for people. Who else we got here? We got Fogheart, not stopping long, just popping in to say hello. Well, hello Fogheart, and man, I hope that the resolution on this improves, but I guess it's not going to do that. Oh, it's frustrating, but that is what it is. I'm trying the live control room. I'm just seeing if there's anything I can do to change the settings on this. I guess I will come back and ask for some help with this. I wonder if there is any information here. Current resolution is 1152 by 648, so I guess that's getting, it's not optimal. Stream status bad. Oh man. Okay, I'll figure something out with the streaming resolution after all of this, but sorry it's going to be 480p tonight. It is what it is. I'm getting obsessive. I want to fix technical issues on air, which as we all know always goes extremely well. We have the Japan dude. Good to see you. Hey guys, indeed. Hey you guys. The electric company, that's an 80s thing. Don't know if that was actually on after that. We got also from Tai Nakamura. Good to see you. I just was actually playing around with the Michigan magnet that you gave me earlier. That was pretty cool. We got Mr. Cordy Chep. You almost forgot about this. You're getting old and forgetful. Well, I'm glad that you didn't forget, Mr. Cordy Chep. It's always good to have you along. We got, who else we got here? We got bitrate ups the quality, at least for Twitch. Yeah, I should have played with that. Sorry, brew and let Hiko regroup. Yeah, that's probably a mistake. Don't let me do that. 49 star, hey, good to see you. Scaled resolution is the reason it's outputting at 480p. I see that, scaled resolution, and it actually says it is scaled resolution. I don't know how to turn that off In fact, I'll tell you what, I'm going to run a test after the show is done. Could people who know anything about OBS tell me what settings I need to do to just make it output 1080p nice like this? I'm looking at the output thing where it, yeah, in the advanced window there's like something, where was it? There's somewhere that it says that it's scaling that resolution, and it's very frustrating. So yes, if anyone can help me for fixing this, who knows about OBS, please send me a message on Facebook or Twitter, and I will implement that after the show. Daniel DeVries, you didn't miss anything. You just missed me streaming on a lower resolution than I mean to, and getting technical help from everybody, including 49 Star. You're awesome, by the way. I remember you make awesome music, right? You are on SoundCloud, and you make good stuff. Am I recalling that correctly? I think that's what the connection is. I haven't seen you for a while, but it's good to see everybody in here. So let's go through the subjects. I'll play a tune or something at the end. So let's get into it. Boom, what's happening tonight? First of all, as I just mentioned before, the Wunderkind Fuji, the 14-year-old junior high school student who has beaten every famous pro Shogi master. For those of you who are wondering what Shogi is basically Japanese chess. I'm not sure if it's Chinese as well, actually. I should know this, but it's basically a variation of chess, except when the Japanese play chess, instead of like the pieces like the knight and the rook, they actually just have Chinese characters representing the same pieces. But it's pretty much the same thing with pawns and pieces with different movements. They're not exactly the same as chess, but the big difference between Shogi and chess is that you can use the pieces that you take of the other army as your own slaves and redeploy them in battle, which is apparently how, well, actually things quite often are in war, so some say it's more realistic. It also adds some strategic elements to the game, which actually make it very challenging for chess players to adapt to. Sometimes we've had these Shogi masters versus chess masters, and the chess guys really have trouble coping with the fact that you can redeploy the prisoner pieces that you take. So it's a pretty interesting sport, and it's a lot more dynamic. It's actually harder for AI to adapt to and win. It's not the same as Go, which is another one of those ones which lately is a big deal in China, and which the Google AI machine recently beat. However, this 19-year-old kid, he was doing very, very well, taking down the top Shogi players in Japan, and was on a winning streak, a record winning streak of 29 games in a row, but he wasn't able to extend it. He lost tonight after like a huge 12-hour game today, which was a shame, but that is what it is. Tokyo election, let's talk a little bit about the Tokyo election. So these are the Sankei results, which I'm trying to get here. You know what? The last thing I tried to book here as well, it won't show it just shows the picture, not the actual link. Let me try it this way. Boom. Okay. So this is in browser. Let's get an update on this. But right now, this is the situation. This is the Tokyo Parliament. So the way that Tokyo elects seats, it's not the same as in America, where you have a bunch of single seats, which basically people run winner takes all for each seat. It's not proportional either. It's not that you just allocate seats by the proportion of votes like you do in New Zealand or Sweden or Israel. Japan is a mixed member representation system. Basically, according to population, every seat, every district in Tokyo has between some have like up to 8 representatives. And depending on the ranking of how people go in the vote, you know, some seats will have 3, the top 3 people will get seats. Which means that actually, even if you totally win every seat, it still means that the 2nd, 3rd place getters will get seats as well sometimes. So overall, it's been really, really interesting, because the Tomin First, the party of Yuriko Koike, the current Tokyo governor, who is a breakaway from the governing LDP party, she has done very, very well. And you know what? I'm going to refresh this one more time, because the numbers here are not showing down the bottom, which they were before. So we kind of have, they do have interim numbers down the bottom. So the Tomin First, so in terms of the government block, so this is the previous. So yes, you've got people who are pro the governor and people who are anti the governor. So this isn't actually this isn't the current results. So wait a minute, let me try to, and here are the results. So basically, you can see the line in the middle. They have to win, basically, in order to get control of the chamber. They've got to get 64 seats. The green side represents what has been the opposition that supports the governor. The right-hand side, the blue, represents the LDP, which has been in control of the Tokyo governorship and of the House within the Tokyo Parliament. However, they've been doing really badly. You can see on the outside, that's before the election, you can see it was dominated by blue. On the inside, however, you can see how the election is going, and it still is being counted, but right now it's 56 to 11. So basically, the pro-governor, the pro-Koike people only have to win 8 more seats and they'll take over. And right now, as it is, the governor's own party that she just made up like before this election has 41 seats, whereas the party which controlled the chamber had 57 seats on its own before this election. It only has 3 at the moment. The communists actually have 7 at the moment. They have more than the party which dominated the chamber at the moment. It's interesting as well, on the right hand side you might see in the middle there's a 12 under a little orange thing. That represents Komeito, which is actually in the national parliament. That's a party that's affiliated, they're a coalition partner of the LDP. They told the LDP, screw you guys, we're supporting the governor because she's more popular than you, and they jumped ship just within Tokyo. The LDP has been destroyed in this. There's a few things that are really interesting. The story of how this situation came up, it's a little bit like Netflix Blockbuster. You might have heard the story about how the owners of Netflix, how the people who set up Netflix, apparently, well, the comments jumped and it didn't update, so let's I'll catch up with that in a minute. How when Netflix was just like mailing DVDs to people and so on, they went into Blockbuster and said, hey, they offered a partnership, or that you guys can buy us out or something like that. And it's kind of famous story that the boardroom, they invited the Netflix people into a boardroom and they basically giggled and laughed at them and laughed them out of the meeting room. And 3 years later, Blockbuster wound up their business destroyed by Netflix. Now basically took over their entire business. And there was a little similar episode that happened with Tokyo. Yuriko Koike, she used to be the Minister of Environment within the LDP. She was a cabinet minister of the LDP. And she decided she wanted to run for the Tokyo governorship when there was a new election coming up. However, the LDP, a bit of an old boys network, they already sort of decided the guy that they wanted to have run, and when she told them that she wanted to run and she wanted to know what the internal selection process would be, they kind of told her, yeah, well, don't worry about it, we're taking care of it. And they kind of ignored her, even though she kept asking for meetings and was saying that she wanted to run. Basically, the old boys network of the LDP said they'd already fixed the whole thing, and they wouldn't let her run. So she left the LDP to run against the LDP candidate, and she won the governorship in a landslide. And basically she came in, and all of the stuff that the LDP run Tokyo Assembly did, including screwing up the relocation of the fish market, including some dramas with some overspending and lack of oversight with the Olympics and various sort of other stuff, she sort of decided to take an axe to everything. And she caused quite a bit of fuss and basically exploited the lack of trust of the LDP, which got her elected. Right before this election, the national LDP governments had all sorts of scandals happening, various stuff. It's all sort of petty, but basically it sort of is showing stuff which looks like corruption and incompetence and just a bunch of crazy people in senior positions of the national LDP. And the LDP, which has been dominating Tokyo forever, has just been destroyed. And Yuriko Koike, who actually was a minister in the cabinet of the LDP, who asked to run for the LDP to be the governor of Tokyo as the LDP governor of Tokyo, and they said, no, don't worry, leave that for the big boys to do. And she destroyed them in the election, and now she's destroyed them in the House election with a party that she made just to basically support herself. So there's kind of a poetic justice thing happening. And another thing that's really interesting about this, I know you guys don't dig politics as much as I do, but I'll just wrap it up. The big hope in the national government level is that the opposition party, the Japan Democratic Party, would somehow develop enough credibility, having destroyed all their credibility from when they were government last time, that they'd somehow recover under the new leader, Ren Ho-sha, that they would actually take advantage of all the scandals happening with the LDP and so on. And the LDP's approval rate has gone down, but their Democrats have not gone up. just the number of undecideds have gone up, which means that no matter how bad the LDP gets, no one can bring themselves to go back to supporting the Democrats or Rinho after all the problems from the last government that they had. So given that there isn't really a clear alternative to Abe at the moment, well, Yuriko Koike seems to be doing much better. I mean, she's the governor of Tokyo, but I think she's really emerging as a possible alternative to LDP government, possible, prime minister. So it's really interesting what's happening at the moment, and it's happening from Tokyo. So big things happening with the government here, so much as you guys are interested in that. So what have we got here? Sorry, some more comments. Let me go through more comments because they seem to freeze up before and I didn't notice that. So ASDF 12131 says, maybe I could talk a little bit about Japanese music. I'm not really up to date with Japanese music, but I can talk about that, I guess. Let me just keep going through the other comments and remind me if I don't come back to this one. Jelly to see Kim K in Japan a few weeks ago. Wanted to be the first. Kim Kardashian, of course. You wanted to be the first famous Armenian in Japan. There seem to be, I don't know, lately I'm seeing Armenians everywhere. I mean, Armenians are very easy to identify because they have surnames that end in "ian," like Armenian. And there are a lot, like, famous all over the place lately. For some reason, I've always known a lot of Armenians, but that's right. I'm sure you're going to make it here, so don't worry about that, Zep. What else we got? Odie Jr. Boom, good morning indeed to you. Azuki Island, good to see Azuki Island. Wow, we got lots of people here. We got Light has made it from Kyushu, good to have you in. Fog is going, so we'll see you later, Fog. Mr. Cordy Chip. Have I tried turning my monitor on? Yes, thank you for all of the very good advice. Busy with music projects, but oh cool, well that'll be cool. Looking forward to 49 Stars next album. Go check it out on SoundCloud. I should be able to change the scale resolution to 1080 when I'm not live. Yeah, I'll go fix that after this. I'm sorry about that. Go is the real challenge. Indeed, Go is the real challenge, and that's why I think the Google thing was such a landmark. 14 years old, that's right, he was 14 years old, and a super genius. So there you go. Who else we got in here? We got boom, 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 Light is popping out, so have a good one, Light. And we got Ko Hoshino, goodbye LDP. Well, that's right. I mean, they'll be back, of course, but they're not doing very well in Tokyo at the moment. And I think we've caught up in terms of Japanese music. Doesn't have to be new Japanese music. 70s are good too. Well, that's good to know. Okay, well in that case, and Sunny, he loves 70s Japanese music. Indeed, Sunny has done some mixes which he's put on SoundCloud of mixing hip-hop beats with 70s Japanese music, which I'm not so familiar with as well, but the Pink Lady stuff and all that sort of stuff, it actually does work pretty well with some beats. And thank you for also saying, ASDF Big Mark 12131, that you don't mind for about the resolution, because that makes me feel a little bit less anxious about going through the rest of the show at lower than ideal resolution. Azuki Island, you voted for Koike. Well, I think everyone did. I mean, frankly, everyone's getting kind of tired of LDP, and there just haven't been any good alternatives. People don't want to vote for the Democrats because they did such a terrible job as being in government, in the national government. And really at the Tokyo level, in terms of alternatives, I mean, Komeito is, they're kind of, they're business-like, but they're also associated with a religious group. I mean, they claim not to have any direct affiliation or relation to, but everyone kind of knows who they represent. Lovely people, some of my best friends. They're okay, but then you've got the communists do very well in Tokyo. I mean, you can see 7, and who knows, they might end up beating their score last time of 17 out of 86 seats. So there's an interesting thing for you as well. Japanese democracy in this isn't based on proportional representation. It's based on winning seats through affirmative votes. There are some parts of Tokyo that affirmatively vote for the Japanese Communist Party to be their representatives. Out of an 86 seat house, in fact, sorry, no, it is 128, 17, so like 15-14% votes for the Communist Party within Tokyo. So I think that's always pretty cool, just to show that there is actual diversity of thought. It's not all LDP in Japan. Shaminto, by the way, has done terribly. Yeah, me and Shinto look like they are. Yeah, they're not doing very well. So really, it's in terms of represented parties, it's really Komeito, Kyosanto, the Communist Party, and yeah, Shaminto doesn't do very well. Ishin doesn't do very well. So it'll be very interesting to see how this night ends up. and particularly how badly Jiminto gets beaten. That number, they only have 3 right now. That number is going to go up a lot because for the multi-representative constituencies, they're going to catch the 2nd, 3rd places, and it's going to fill up. But they're probably going to get like 30. Some predictions said 38 or 35 maybe, which would be the lowest that they've ever achieved. So there you go. Anton. Okay, so good to know that Anton is much easier to pronounce. So thank you for that, Anton. And let's go into the other stories that we have tonight. So what else have we got? The topic that you all know I care very deeply about. EU and Japan are currently very close to agreeing a free trade agreement, which will mean for all the subjects that are being horse traded at the moment, it means that the ones that kind of the key points are Japan wants Europe to lower tariffs on Japanese cars so that they can sell more Japanese cars in Europe. Japan buys heaps of German cars for imported cars. Japan actually does it, buy a lot of imported cars. American cars here don't sell very well because, well, they don't really fit, half the time in the car parks and the highway toll gates and all that sort of stuff. And the cars just aren't that good, but Japanese love buying German, French cars and so on. So they want the chance to sell more cars in Europe. Europe, in exchange for that, wants to be able to sell more cheese and milk here. And you know what? I would love to have more European cheese here because the cheese here really kind of sucks. The processed stuff is kind of like America and Australia processed cheese. And you know my opinions on the dairy producers in Japan. They're just not very good at their jobs. They're old. They don't produce well enough. The cows, they're just lazy. It's a Stalinist agricultural collective system that fails to produce enough supply, and it's a market that should be blown open and allowed for open competition. So, and Mr. Cordychip, I'm sorry to mention processed cheese. Well, that doesn't really, the whole point is that we're going to get, hopefully, out of this European, but of course the Japanese agriculture lobby has moved into action, claiming that it's basically with the levels of production of European dairy and the prices that they would be able to sell at without having the tariffs on would effectively destroy the Japanese dairy industry. But I think you have to decide. I mean, if they're not living up to doing their jobs properly, I don't know, I don't feel sympathetic about this. Of course, as a New Zealander, I'm biased. I would like for cheese from Aotearoa to get in here first, but if it's the European stuff, I mean, hell, the Europeans make great cheese. I mean, I think possibly it's like the best thing that the Europeans do. They make nice cars, they have great art, interesting history. There are a lot of good things going for Europe, but I can't think of anything going for Europe more than its cheese. And if we get it here tariff-free, I would be all about that. Kevin Richardson, good to have you along. You'd love to buy cheesy peas in Japan. I'm not sure. I don't know what cheesy peas are. Japanese don't generally like peas. Interesting fact, Japanese call peas green peas. Coming from New Zealand, green peas are very, very big in New Zealand. So I was always extremely, although I was actually pretty consistent when Japanese, one, they call it green peas, and two, 90% of Japanese people you meet say that they hate them. Of course, being of English heritage, I love I love peas, and being from New Zealand, well, I've voted for the Green Party before, so who are basically Greenpeace. So hearing Japanese people say that they hate Greenpeace, it took a while for me to figure that out. I figured it was over the whaling thing or something, and then I figured out, oh no, they're talking about peas. That's a whole side topic there. But anyway, I've never said this before, but go Europe, go EU. And how stupid is England dropping out of Europe when they're about to get this big free trade deal? But serves you right. I mean, they voted for it. But yes, I would love to get all of that beautiful Italian and German and Dutch and all that cheese. Japan has earthquakes. I've mentioned this fact before. But yes, we've gotten two kind of big lower 5 intensity earthquakes. One in Hokkaido, the very top island of the main islands of Japan, and one in Kumamoto, where they had a big earthquake a couple of years ago in the bottom main island, right? Okinawa is of course the bottom, but they're smaller islands, but Kyushu, right in the middle of Kyushu. So top and bottom of the country, Tokyo's sandwiched right in the middle. But it's a reminder that Japan gets big quakes, and it's only a matter of time when we're going to get one here. Lower 5, just remembering the scale. One is almost undetectable. Two, you'd feel if you're really paying attention, like if you're looking, you might notice something just sort of wobbling slowly. Three, you'd notice it's sort of a mild tremor. It's sort of, oh, it's a tremor, look at that. Four is kind of scary. It kind of will make a bit of a juddering noise. You'll hear bumping and stuff like that. Dun, 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 dun. And you'll be sitting there thinking, what if this gets big? Like this. Four is kind of where it starts to get a little bit scary. Five is where things start to break. And at five you have lower five and upper five. If you're in a really, really old or flimsy house, five is where stuff starts falling off shelves. And you know, upper five is where old, sort of not really earthquake-proof buildings will start to break and get damaged. Six is where you start to get, you know, real sort of damage even to sort of earthquake-proof buildings, and you get power outs and stuff like that. Upper six is pretty serious damage. You'll get buildings have foundational damage and so on. Only the most earthquake-proof buildings tend to do well in 6+, and 7 is the highest end of the scale, and 7 just breaks everything, and that's what we had a few years ago in Fukushima, or actually in Miyagi Prefecture. So we had two lower fives. I mean, big enough to be scary anyway, both ends of the country. So nice reminder to be ready at any time for earthquakes, because they will happen. Do most people have earthquake insurance? You know what? That's a good question. I think, how does that work? I think the government looks after a deal of it, but I think also most apartments, yeah, they do have earthquake insurance automatically. And this is also why Japan has some of the biggest insurance companies in the world, because everyone has to buy their earthquake, typhoon, volcano. And I'm not joking, by the way, if Mount Fuji erupts, Tokyo will get buried with ash. I mean, like serious ash, like enough ash to make roofs collapse. You know, a few centimeters actually weighs a lot, especially if it rains. With that on, the last eruptions that they've had of Mount Fuji were enough to generate, you know, even over Tokyo, like 10 centimeters of ash. So we got everything here. We get typhoons. The first typhoon of the year is about to come. We get earthquakes. We get volcanic eruptions. Hell, we got nuclear plant, you know, stuff. We get everything. So yes, insurance is a thing. And yeah, I'm kind of Sunni. I'm the same as you are, Sunny. It's always made me think, why would you buy a house with a 30-year loan when you know it's almost 100% guaranteed that you can have a quake? So there we go. And that's right, it was actually 5 minus, or was it a 5+ on that day? It was a serious shake anyway. So quakes, they happen. This is a cool one. So how many US cities can you fit inside Tokyo? Now this is not geographic area. Tokyo as a city is actually not that big. It's actually, like, compared to my own home city of Auckland, it's smaller than Auckland. However, it does have a lot of people. In the greater Tokyo area, there's 25 million people. And so in terms of how that breaks down for American people, this is kind of interesting. Okay, I guess you've got Greater New York and Greater LA, so I guess they're taking a broad region. And indeed, if you look down the bottom there, I mean, they're including down to parts of Shizuoka. But I don't know how you can make that out, but just for an idea, the population of New York City there fits into sort of Yokohama and Kawasaki. You got sort of Shinagawa there is Los Angeles. You know, Phoenix, Houston, Denver, Baltimore, sort of getting around the areas that I live. I used to live out in Hachioji, which is marked there, I think, as you know, it might be Boulder actually for Hachioji. So yeah, it's what all the different wards of Tokyo going through these elections right now. You know, Las Vegas, and these are the units that have these representatives, which go into a 128-person parliament. Charlotte and Orlando over here, this is Chiba. This is a different prefecture. But still, it's kind of just to, again, get an idea of how many people are crammed into Tokyo. I don't have a great idea of this. I don't really know how big Indianapolis is, but I do know, of course, know about Los Angeles and New York City, and I've heard of these other places. So, you know, it's just interesting perspective that Tokyo has a lot of people in a very small space. And yeah, remembering that Tokyo, Japan itself, is like the size of California. It's a very small area for all of those people. So I thought that was an interesting demonstration of the people in Tokyo. But Tokyo is going to be, in preparation for the Olympics, is getting bilingual road signs. Check it out, Tomare, stop. I mean, you can kind of recognize by the international shape of the stop sign. But yeah, it looks like they are going to be moving into, I guess, having being more tourist friendly. So amazing, they're getting road signs with English written on them. I'm going to come back to music talk in just 1 minute. This is interesting. I mean, when I came to Japan in the 90s, Japan was basically where smoking was going out of fashion, like everywhere, and it was starting to be regulated. It still wasn't regulated in Japan. People could smoke on the trains, they'd smoke on the train platforms. If you ever went out drinking, you were guaranteed to go head to toe covered in tobacco, smoke and ash. My friends would go to nightclubs and they would get like burned by people dancing with cigarettes. It was kind of like, yeah, it was a hellhole if you didn't like being around smokers. And I mean, Europe and everywhere else was like that, even 10 years before that, right? But Tokyo was Japan was a little bit slow with that. For the first time, however, now less than 20% of the population smokes. This normally would be seen as a good thing, but the reason that it took so long for this to come to this in Japan was that, of course, you always had the Ministry of Health was always advocating for the same sort of anti-smoking laws that existed in other OECD countries, and that Japan signed up to health treaties promising to sort of regulate smoking. However, every time that they tried to introduce laws, the Ministry of Health tried to introduce health laws to regulate smoking for health reasons, the Ministry of Finance vetoed those laws and threatened to cut the funding of the Health Ministry if they didn't cut with all the anti-smoking legislation. The reason for that being is that the Japanese government owned the Japan Tobacco Company. They're basically the Philip Morris of Japan is a government-owned company. The Japanese government collected tax revenue from tobacco sales, like not through tax, through actual commercial sales. They owned the tobacco company. So rather than collect revenue by taxing to try to discourage consumption, they were afraid that if you tax cigarettes, that it would actually reduce income for the Ministry of Finance to give to other ministry, for Japanese government budget. So they were actually concerned at the idea of the population not smoking so much. They wanted to keep a high smoking population because they were getting all the revenue, all the profits from selling them cigarettes. It took a long time to resolve this. I think Japan Tobacco has been quasi-privatized, but they've eventually had to come to terms with the idea that they can't treat this as a cash cow like they were. But yes, so less alcohol tariff, please, is Azuki Island. Or maybe, I don't know, I mean, maybe you need the Japanese government to go and buy up all the alcohol companies. Who knows? Corp Q Summer, good to have you along there. Let's talk about music for a second. So Japanese music, I've been actually going through my old music library for the first time in a long time. It's been really hard to keep up with pop music lately in Japan. My general, how do you even start talking about Japanese music as a subject? I guess what I would say is, whenever the indie scene here is awesome. The quality of average artists is incredibly high. In New Zealand, and from what I hear in America, it's very similar. When you get a bunch of teenagers that want to get girls or be popular or whatever, they'll buy guitars, they'll figure out how to play a couple of chords. They'll try without trying too hard. Because they want to be cool, to learn an instrument or something like that, and they'll start. They'll basically put together some kind of crap sort of basic music. And you get a lot of bands where people aren't very musical, and they can't sing very well, but they'll just play loud or whatever, or play ska or something like that. And sometimes you get good musicians, and sometimes they do well, and sometimes you get shit musicians, and even they do well. But you have a wide range of good and bad music, I guess. In Japan, what really struck me when I first got here was that while you are struck by the amount of pop music and really sort of crap, overproduced sort of commercial music, when you go to look at live music in Japan and you discover indies bands and so on, the quality is extremely high, and you realize really quick it's because Japanese people basically like my son in school, they learn music from 5 years old. They learn instruments, they learn singing, they learn musical theory. So it means that even when you have a bunch of guys at university goofing off wanting to start a band to pick up girls, most of them have had 10 years of musical education and are actually have basic levels of skill and talent before they begin. You go to karaoke with Japanese people, everyone can sing, the entire country can sing. I mean, this is kind of changing, karaoke is becoming less popular now, but basically people understand principles of how to make music, of how to play music, of how to sing in tune, stuff which for whatever reasons are not so common in New Zealand or Australia, are very, very normal and average in Japan. And it means that you get really, really great, creative, a wide range of sort of music outside of the pop thing. Now, all of that said, of course, the pop music scene has been pretty desolate. I mean, every time I've checked it for the last 10 years, when you see like the Kohaku Utagasen, which supposedly invites all the most popular artists, musical artists of Japan for that year, and it used to be kind of a mix of cheesy pop music and Inca old-fashioned folk music and kind of, okay, decent stuff which I could listen to. Now it's like 20, huge mass group, idol groups and stuff like that. I can't really listen to that stuff so much. Sometimes they do have very good songwriters and they come up with good tunes, but it's just they've taken something that was tolerable and they've just gone like full stretch at it. The commercial music industry here, by the way, is, from what I understand, sort of in dire straits. But that said, the basic elements of people being basically very music literate and very, very good at making music in general, I don't think that's changed, and that's what I find really, really great about Japan. That's why, and there are some artists that sometimes, in spite of not being like pop or idols and stuff like that, they break through. Sheena Ringo is the example I always used to like to give. She's been around for a while now, but she's someone who's just very, very creative, very, very original, and escaped the whole pop idol sort of mold doing that. And Perfume is from the 90s. I didn't realize that Perfume were from the 90s, actually. I thought they were from the decade after that, the 2000s, but there we go. So Ko Hoshino's backing me up there. The last 10 years has kind of gone to hell, unfortunately, J-pop, but it doesn't mean that there is ego rapping. There you go, Justin Connolly, another great one there. Sort of jazzy music. There's a lot of great, excellent club music, by the way. So if you want good house music, good techno music, the point is that the quality of the stuff that comes out of Japan is just so, on average, so high. You get a lot of people who just focus really, really hard on these hobbies, and they've got a lot of good grounding in musical theory and talent to begin with. It just means that, it's got a really, really great music scene here. And I suppose the upside is that there's a lot of sort of hidden gems if you get into it to discover. That's the thing now. There are 400 members of AKB48 groups now. That's probably actually an accurate number as well. This year's Summer Sonic is going to be lit on the second day. Who's on the second day of Summer Sonic? I'm a Fuji Rock man myself. I went for like 10 years to Fuji Rock, and Fuji Rock I prefer because, Summer Sonic is straight up just rock, and it's in like a stadium. It's incredibly hot, whereas Fuji Rock is up in the mountains. You've got rivers, it's cooler, and you have everything from sort of the rock to the electronic and all that sort of stuff. That's what I really, and music which I wouldn't normally listen to, I listen to, and I discover, wow, I listen to this, or I like this. A great example is, terrible name I guess, but Sambo Master. They made this really, really loud sort of screaming sort of ballady but rock kind of really heavy sort of stuff. It's kind of hard to describe, but it's not what I normally go for. But being so in that live with hundreds of people who love the music and so on, in a tent just listening because they were playing after the Plump DJs. They were great. I loved it. I went and bought like a whole bunch of their CDs. So Ty, I told you about this, and man, next year I tell you what, if I'm going to do my Fuji Rock revival, I'd love to take you there, seriously, because you dig it the most. Really awesome. So Sambo Master, Corp Q Summer. See, he knows this shit. It's really good. Look it up. Seriously, you'll see what I mean. I discovered Sambo Master live before I heard or saw any of their music, radio or videos or anything. I was just standing in a tent after watching some electronic music, and they came out. And I'm like, well, who are these guys? And it was just great. And I went and bought all their music later. So like I said, I think Japanese, it sums up the things I like about Japanese culture. There's just a lot of depth and a lot of hidden, and it's basically a very high average level of goodness in it, in spite of the crap that for some reason is covering up the top. It's actually all the stuff that's down below that's better. And that's I think where investing in Japan is good. I'm into all the automatic driving and stuff like that, and I can see it being a big thing in Japan because there are more and more accidents involving old people lately. Japan's aging population, you're going to have millions of people in their late 80s and 90s who are just, who will pass a competency test but then have fast onset Alzheimer's and stuff like that and have all these accidents, and they're running into shops and supermarkets, they're running over kids, they're having these accidents all over the place. And I think you've got two choices. These people live in remote towns where you need cars to survive. Either you move the old people into cities, which I don't think is desirable, but there again, I don't know that it's desirable that they live in these isolated communities away from medical help and, where they're dependent on cars even though they shouldn't be driving. But yeah, I think things like, for example, if they can really speed up the development of self-driving cars, it's going to be really, really good. And Japan's looking at making it mandatory for them to drive such cars when they come out. This is all good, and I really hope that this happens soon. Hey, Japan dude, have a good one. And I think there's something here about trucks, which I think is also going to be revolutionary. This was an interesting one. There was a proposal this week. Japan's space agency, JAXA, put out a proposal that it wanted to get to the moon before China does anyway, before 2030. And it was proposing a multinational mission where basically that it would sponsor to try to put manned missions on the moon, which I think is super, super cool. Yeah, I only know Pink Lady. So who do I know? I've heard of Yamaguchi Momoe. She's like Chibi Maruko-chan's always talking about her. I don't know the Candy so well. I know Pink Lady. Go Hiromi still is making music even now. Finger 5, Okumura Chiyo, Saijo Hideki, and Noguchi Goro. Well, there we go. If you want to look up some Japanese pop music from the 70s, City, he's your man there. Russian dash cam shows win. I guess you'll see that less. Does JAXA actually take space exploration seriously? Mr. Kodichep, Google JAXA, see what they do. They were the first space agency to land a space probe on a comet. JAXA has produced heaps of really, really cool. They've had some unsuccessful missions, but yeah, they've produced a lot of awesome satellite missions. The only country, I mean, you know, so China launches basically recycled Russian rockets. Japan, you know, created its own native rocket industry with its own technology. The US gave Japan rockets for a space program, but they wouldn't let them see the technology, so they engineered their own black boxes which could control, the gyros for the rockets. So in spite of the frequent explosions and disasters that they had getting it going, the H3, the H2A, Japan's space program's pretty serious. So yeah, they're capable of doing this, but they haven't focused on man exploration at all until now. So it's really interesting that they raised this as a proposed goal. What else we got here? Oh man, I've been watching Master of None lately. I've got 2 more episodes to go, so no spoilers please. But I just have to say, like, Netflix is enabling, I think, like a golden age of TV that doesn't need to go through product placement and kind of, these kind of, the way that studios have run television for so long. I wonder if the show would ever have gotten on the air if this was like for the major networks. It's almost designed in a way that it could never have been a major commercial show. It's so original, it's so good. I won't give any spoilers away, but the plot lines, the characters, the way that they attack some of these episodes are like this particular one, the dinner party, the episode called The Dinner Party in episode 2. All that I'll say is that there's a couple of scenes in there that are so relatable that I've never seen in a movie before, I've never seen in a TV show before, and they're so real. I mean, it's like Aziz Ansari is like my hero. I just love what he's doing with this thing. I've got 2 more episodes to go, and it took a while to build on me actually a little bit, but it's really, you can watch it on Netflix, and I highly recommend it. I'm enjoying it. I've got 2 more to go, and it's awesome. So there we go. Who's that guy? That guy's in the comments. That is Tai Nakamura, and that's his first track he's put up for a while, Fishnet Stalker. So go check that one out. And I'm going to put some music of my own on after this, but yes, it's good to see that he's making music again, so go use it. And remember, if it's Tokyo Digital Crew, you can download it and you can use it on your own videos. That's what it's for, to be used. So there we go. This is kind of cool. There's been some freaky stuff. Some people have made artificial brain synapses that work, so I don't know if they're going to be able to like make you like superhuman, like that movie Unlimited or something, by injecting freaking brain synapses or whatever. I don't know about that, but this is also interesting. Lately they can do, now they've gotten to a point where when you combine AI based machine learning with CAT scans, so basically you just teach what a brain looks like when it's looking at a cat, for example, or when it's looking at a dog, and when you build up enough data, it can basically look at what the brain scan is showing and say this person is looking at a dog. So it's not actually like going into your retinal cortex or whatever they call it, to be able to see what you're actually seeing. It's just looking at what how your overall brain is reacting, and based on the data of looking at lots of subjects, it can say this is a brain pattern that says this person is looking at a cat. And this is early days. I mean, so this is basically like remote brain reading, and they're already being able to do this sort of thing. That's freaking freaky. That's what that is. This whole idea of brain hacking, I never thought this sort of stuff would be beyond science fiction in my entire lifetime, and it's really, I mean, it's becoming something that we actually have to start thinking about. So, like self-driving cars, it's something that we actually have to start thinking about. It freaks me out and it impresses me at the same time, so that's why I put that there. This was a, so I know that the US airlines have been trying very, very hard to make sure that they stay ahead of the rest of the world in terms of innovating ways to make people who are flying on their airlines feel uncomfortable and threatened and in danger and like they're going through an incredibly unpleasant experience. But not to be outdone, the Japanese low-cost carriers, they are not going to say recognize defeat to America on this. Japan is going to be number one in every category, including being dicks to disabled people. Vanilla Airlines, the low-cost carrier that you don't get to go across one of those air bridges onto the plane. You have to go onto the tarmac and up some stairs. And apparently one of the staff of the airline told this person in a wheelchair that for safety reasons we can't pull you up the stairway in your wheelchair. You have to go up yourself without the wheelchair. So the guy, a former rugby player who was in a wheelchair from a rugby accident, he said fine, he climbed up the stairs on his hands, dragged himself onto the airplane, and then they brought the wheelchair up. The airline has apologized for basically humiliating and abusing a disabled person trying to get on their plane. Go 7188, this sounds like it's worth checking out. Kevin Richardson. Apparently the guy's an activist. He goes around like checking accessibility for disabled people, and I guess Vanilla Airlines really failed on that one. They've responded by dropping internet rumors that he's like a claimer. He's a serial person who complains and claims against companies. But it's a legitimate point. They made him climb up onto a skyway on his hands and drag himself onto an airplane. And I have to say, I mean, United Airlines and Delta, Continental, they've been doing pretty badly, but hey, Japan, they're not going to be left behind, and so there you go. Maybe some good news here. Japan's always been known as like the suicide capital of the world. For whatever reason, they're hitting a 20-year low at the moment. It's hard to say why. I mean, I suppose it could have to do with the population change, with the fact that people looking for jobs outweigh people, supply outweigh demand outweighs supply at the moment. You have a lot of elderly people settling into retirement. It's it's just an interesting trend that seems to be at least countering the old stereotype. Coming back again, Japan is mulling sending a man to the moon. I put a track up the other day. I recorded it on Twitch. I think I was doing it as an experiment. The track isn't so great, but it's the first one I made for a while, so yeah, go check it out. And this is the one. That's what they made him climb up on his hands. I bet that was a lot of fun. That was terrible. Google's doing self-driving trucks. Now that's going to be a really big deal, because I think it's a good thing, because truck drivers are put under so much stress, right? I mean, it's a terrible job. I mean, it's very profitable, and I know a lot of people rely on it for a living, and this is going to end that. But at the same time, getting paid shit wages and being forced to take speed basically to stay awake and to drive, I don't know. I do like the idea of robot sort of cargo trucks and what that will enable in terms of just logistics, right? I think it's a positive thing, although of course it's going to be very disruptive when it happens. But this is something that I think is going to have a really, really big impact on the economy. And I think this is maybe the last one, second to last one. We've got NHK. They're going to start charging a broadcast fee of 3,000 yen per month to people who have smartphones, because they can watch streaming news. If they're going to do that, I really think NHK should put all of their content on streaming, make it available for streaming, which I would like. I mean, if you're going to charge me for it anyway, a lot of people don't like this, of course. It's fairly predictable, but that said, they're considering, it's got the amount, the 2,520 yen for every 2 months for everyone in Japan who has smartphones. This is, of course, hideously unpopular. In fact, if there are the comments here, yes, Ikai Nishiro, NHK, retarded something, Shikamo Dogaku, and it's the same prices on TV, make it cheaper if it's the internet. People are basically very unhappy with this, but it's a thing, it's happening. Twitch. They're getting into the in real life thing, which I tried out myself a little bit the other day. Although that said, it's kind of when you've got no audience, it doesn't seem to be very interesting. But it is good that they have competition. I do like the commenting features, the lack of latency over there. So I think it's good that Twitch is going to push YouTube to do better things. Japan, oh yeah, New Zealand won the America's Cup. It's a big deal for us. To no one else I know, but it's a big deal for us, and that was a good thing. Did you know that Japan now has, in terms of unclaimed, unowned land, an area bigger than the size of Kyushu is currently unclaimed. Oh yeah. So in summertime in Japan, you get sour drinks and mint, just refreshing sort of snacks. So they have a lot of these mint things. I wish they had them year round, because I like mint flavored stuff. But you've got these, what have you got here? You've got choco chip mint bar, which I haven't tried. You've got the look thing there, which I do quite like. You've got the country farm on the top right there, which are very, very tasty actually. Those are extremely addictive and I like those. The baked mint, I've had those as well. They're not very good. There's actually a tree here showing mintiness versus chocolatiness on a continuum, and yeah, it's a good time of year at the moment. There are some very tasty snacks. You've got Daz mint. I've had all of these, but I'm a really big fan of the double cocoa mint, the look choco mint, double cocoa mint. But yeah, it's pretty good. This is very important information if you live in Japan, because this stuff tastes awesome. Takata, that's right, the airbag maker, they filed for bankruptcy because they sucked at that. And yes, and there's the record of the Shogi guy. So, and look at that, by 2033, 30% of homes in Japan may be vacant. And those are all the topics. Last 4 minutes, let's get into playing some music, since we got a request, and I haven't done it for a while. So let me plug in. I haven't checked the levels. There may be a little bit of a pop when I turn this on, which I apologize for in advance. I guess I should also switch onto the iPad mode, which I will do. Boom, 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 boom. This is something I was playing with earlier, so okay, get ready, I'm going to switch over. Boom. And let's go into Careless iPad. Okay, and let's turn on the sound, audio input capture. Okay. Let us also, sorry, let me just turn that off for a minute. Boom, put that in. Okay, this should now work. Okay, so let's go. Some outro tunes. I've got to resize the comments thing now. Okay, that's not working for scale at the moment, but let's boom. Let's put this in there and let's go for it. So that's the full loop. I guess I want to build this up, so drum and bassy. So that's the show. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm gonna make this into a proper track, and I will see you all again next week. So come join me again for Tokyo time, same time every week, 11 p.m. and have a good one. Boom, peace. Oh, click your wins. There you go. Good night. Kevin Richardson, it's been very good interacting with you too. Have a good night. See ya. It's my fade out music. I'll fix the resolution. If anyone can help me fix the resolution, please message me on Facebook or Twitter and help me out with this OBS stuff. See you later. Peace. Also, I'm going to do a test after this to fix it. Okay. Stop streaming. Fade out. See ya.